very happy to be here, and shalom, shalom to everybody.
Shalom, shalom. How are you today? Fernando, Rodrigo, Ruth, how are you today? Do you have questions, thoughts on your mind that you'd like to share before we start?
I just want to congratulate you, Iti, for your podcast. I was listening just a few moments ago about Eretz Canaan.
Yes.
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
I just wish to congratulate you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So, if there aren't any questions, I would like us to access the whiteboard. Do you see the whiteboard?
Yes.
Yes. So on the whiteboard we have a text from Genesis 21 and there's a painting. Rodrigo, I see you on the whiteboard. Yes. And now the question is, who would like to read the English verse and who would like to read the Hebrew verse? Because we have two versions here and I would like us to look into them carefully.
I can try. I can read it, Iti. I don't know if Ruth would like to read it in English.
Yes, I certainly can. I think does it begin, and the Lord remembered Sarah?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, right, I can see that. If you could just bring it down a little bit, just a fraction on the white page, just bring the script down, just down a little bit. That's it, that's good. And the Lord remembered Sarah as he had said, and the Lord did unto Sarah as he had spoken. And Sarah conceived, and bore Abram a son in his old age, at the set time of which God had spoken to him. And Abram called the name of his son that was born unto him, whom Sarah bore to him, Isaac. And Abraham circumcised his son Isaac when he was 8 days old, as God had commanded him. And Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born unto him. And Sarah said, God hath made laughter for me. Everyone that heareth will laugh on account of me. And she said, who would have said unto Abraham that Sarah should give children suck? For I have borne him a son in his old age. And the child grew and was weaned. And Abraham made a great feast on the day that Isaac was weaned. And Sarah saw the son of Hagar the Egyptian, whom she had borne unto Abraham, making sport. Wherefore she said unto Abraham, cast out this bondwoman and her son, for the son of the bondwoman shall not be heir with my son, even with Isaac. And the thing was very grievous in Abraham's sight on account of his son. And God said unto Abraham, let it not be grievous in thy sight because of the lad, and because of thy bondwoman. In all that Sarah saith unto thee, hearken unto her voice, for in Isaac shall seed be called to thee.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Now, Fernando, can you please read the first verse, Pasuk Aleph in Hebrew?
Okay, I can try it.
Thank you.
So, Pasuk Aleph.
Yes.
Va'Adonai pakad et Sarah. Kaasher amar vayath Adonai lesara. Kaasher diber.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Please pay attention that here, Ve'Hashem ve'Adonai pakad et Sarah, pakad, the English translate as remembered, but I would like us to focus on this verb in Hebrew and see what Philon of Alexandria say about this verse. I will move now to write with a pen and see how Philon reads it, and I would like to hear your opinion or your perspective about Philon's thinking. Pakad. Maybe the pen is too thin. I'll move to a wider. 1 second. Pakad. Pakad. The English say remember. For now, I keep it like for now. Let's look into the value of Pakad. Pei is 80, Kof is 100, and Daled is 4. Now,
184.
184. 148. 148. If we rearrange the digits, the numbers here in the order, we get 148. Or what is 148?
You can get Echad
Pesach.
or Pesach.
Pesach, Passover,
Yes. The bread and the wine.
the bread and wine, which is 78. This is bread, wine, 70. We have 148. This is Passover. Yes. Also 184. If we write for each digit a Hebrew letter, 1 is Aleph, Chet is 8, 8 is Chet, and 4 is Dalet, we get Echad or 1. Does the number 184 remind you one of the names of the Tetragrammaton in its filling?
I cannot remember now. It's 184.
There is another perspective to it before we move to Philon. One of them is that appears in Luria's writing. We take the letters of the Tetragrammaton as they come and we fill them with the letter Yod, but in pyramid or square, how they call it. So
Yes.
Yod for itself, and then Yod. Hey, please check the calculation that I bring here. Yod, Hey, Vav, and to move. And if there is a mistake, we shall figure this out and fix it. And then we have another one here. Yod, Hey, Vav, Hey. This is pyramid or square. In the book of Lurias, they call it square. In other books, they call it pyramid. When Yod for itself, it's the letter Yod and it's filling. Here it's 10, but with the filling, this is 20. Here we have 20.
It's 148, I think.
It
Yes.
is. It is
148.
148.
184. 184.
184. Yes.
184.
Yes,
So
184.
20 plus 15, this is 20, 15,
35.
35, and then we have 50,
Yes. And 50.
35 plus
47.
47,
47, I think. Yes,
47?
47.
47.
Yes.
And the last one is 72.
Yes. And
Yes?
yes, let's check. I believe it's right.
Okay, let's see. This is 20. 20s. 1 second. Do you check it, Rodrigo? Because I would like... Yes?
35, 35. I tried to do it.
Okay, so let's... 1 second. Let's open another. 1 second. 1 second.
It's interesting there. I'm sorry, please.
Yes, please continue. No, please, I open another tab. So please.
No, it is just I was drawing here with the Hey with Aleph. You know the name of God with the Hey with the letter Hey with the feeling of Aleph.
Yes.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives 148 if we take the letter Hey, but the Vav with Yod. You know.
Yes. This is interesting. Yes.
There is sorry. I made a mistake. It's not 47. It's 57.
Yeah, I know. It is. I know it's 57. I remember them by heart. So it's a bit. Okay. It's okay.
And then it's 57, and then 72, and, and then we get the 184.
Thank you. 184. This is interesting.
Yes, now it's right.
Very good. And Fernando, did you have this pyramid with a feeling of Aleph?
Yes, when we take the letter Hey with Aleph, you know.
Yes. Yod, Hey, like this, and
yes, it gives 26.
Yes.
This second one.
Yes, and the third
is 48, I think.
48, and
the Vav, I put the Yod in the middle.
yes, and Yod, Hey, here with Aleph or with Vav?
The Vav always with Yod.
With Yod, okay, because this is Binah feeling. Okay, 1 second. This is very interesting what you're saying. And the Hey with Aleph, yes?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So what do we get here at the last line?
Oh, sorry.
148, and the last row of the pyramid here? 6, and here we have 22. Yes?
It's
and
54.
54. Interesting. 20. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, Philon says something very interesting, because when we abstract the word pakad, they translate here as remembered. Good morning, Felipe. But pakad is a Hebrew word that still people use it today, using it as a command. There is mefaked, commander, and he commands his soldiers. Pakad. Pakad is to give a command. Now, Philon says something very interesting about pakad, because if we notice, is the tetragrammaton which does the action vehashem, because the tetragrammaton here, the Lord, Hashem, pakad et Sarah, remembered Sarah. Philon says that God himself remembered and conceived Sarah. So the son that was born to Sarah is the son of God, of Hashem, and not the son of Abraham, because when Isaac was born, he was already Abraham. Again, Philon in his writing, and I believe that such a comment does not come from nothing, because we can prove the verb pakad, remember, commanded. Again, and Isaac, Yitzchak, is basically the son of God, of Hashem, of the infinite, and not the son of Abraham. Before we move on, I just would like us to enter another question to our mind. if Isaac is not the son of Abraham, according to what Philons reads the Bible, why Abraham was asked to sacrifice him? This is the question. Just remember the question. It's an open question. According to Weinreb, this verse appears in the New Testament, while in the New Testament the same people have different names. Can you bring in your mind who might be those people? The same structure, according to Weinreb, we find in the New Testament. Now, can you figure out? Do we have a sound?
I'm listening and thinking and trying to relate it. Just one technical
Yes?
thing. I think that on YouTube it is not broadcasting your drawing of the pyramid.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Now I'm trying to see again. Thank you, Fernando.
So, could you repeat the question, because it is very deep and I am struggling.
I brought two questions before we continue.
Betsy,
Yes.
are we trying to find a name of two people in the New Testament?
If we can answer this question, this is an open question. I thought to introduce the story from Weinreb, but please,
Would
we
it
can.
would it be Zachariah and Elizabeth?
Yeah. Yeah, and yes.
And
Yes.
John
Yes.
in
Yes.
Luke? That's what I'm thinking.
Yes. This is basically, yes, you're right. According to Weinreb, this is the story of Isaac comes again in the New Testament as Virgin Mary giving birth to Jesus. Virgin Mary, so to speak, as she appears in the New Testament, this is, what is the virgin? The virtue, the good virtue, or the divine logos is always virgin, and she brings and she delivers a son. But so to speak, he does not, the virgin being pregnant, but not from a bodily figure, but from heaven. Well, this is what Weinreb says. There's a lot of parallel. This is a parallel structure between Isaac and Jesus. But now I put a lot of stories inside those verses. First there's the Hebrew structure, and then we open the word pakad, and we show this is the one in different ways. 148 or 184, this is the one, and it is not, so to speak, from bodily man. And then this is what Philon says, and then we move to Weinreb perspective, that this is basically the story of the New Testament. Now, this is open for questions or comments or remarks from the way you think at the moment.
It is amazing. It is absolutely amazing. And I'm thinking about the idea of the divine child, right?
Yes,
And,
yes.
That maybe it is inside of each one of us.
Yes.
And it came to me the idea of Pesach, the absolute structure in the numbers, is 148, because after in this story of chapter 21, we can see that after the birth of Isaac, Abraham Sarai demanded Abraham to leave behind Ishmael and Hagar, right?
Yes.
That is related with the Egyptian side.
Yes.
And the Pesach I'm looking this parallel idea with the Pesach that is the leaving the Egypt. Now in this picture we can see Abraham leaving the Egyptian woman. Right? So I'm just wondering here, like this divine child that is not our choose, it comes from God.
Yes.
And this separation that is needed, this liberation.
Yes.
I don't know what you think about it.
It is true. It is a parallel story, as now we see in the painting that Abraham sends Hagar and her son. This is the pre-story of Exodus, as he sent Hagar and her son away to the desert. Israel will leave the Egyptians in the desert and move out to the land of Canaan. Will return to the land of Canaan. Now, Philon has a very interesting perspective about Hagar. Philon saying that Hagar, the letters Hagar, they form a verb in Hebrew, which means gar, to dwell. Her name is Hagar. So Hagar in a way represents living in time and space, the place that we are dwelling in. And sending Hagar is to send the temporal life, and sending her child is also sending our temporal understanding. Release them to continue his journey to the divine Logos. Do we understand this perspective of Philon by sending Hagar to the desert? Hagar means in Hebrew to dwell. Gar is to dwell, temporal dwelling. So Abraham sends Hagar is like a person who sends his temporal understanding and continues his journey in himself to the divine Logos. But first he has to release his attachment. It is hard for him. As we see in the verses, it is hard for him to send Hagar and her son. He has attachment for them. Do we understand this perspective?
Yes.
It's also the worldly wisdom, the frontal mind, calculation, to send those calculations to the desert. Desert in Hebrew, Bamidbar, is in a way even number, and to send those calculations into the desert. We have two kinds of places to live in according to the ancient one. Also Philon mentioned this in his writing. There is the place of the desert, the wilderness, and there's a place of a city. In the city there's a well, and in the well he calls the well in his writing the science, but the recognition of the higher. And the recognition of the higher is in the city, where people can develop conversation. The desert, the wilderness, is a place of conflicts. So he sends Hagar and her son to the place of conflicts in time and space, to the wilderness. Now I would like to hear you.
Well, that's really that's really interesting. As you was talking about mentioning the place of the desert or the place of the city, and the well is in the city. What I was thinking, it might be a little off here, but I was thinking of The Little Prince, the book that you read
Yes.
a section of some time ago. And The Little Prince says one of the great things about the desert is that you can find a well there. He says you can find a well in the desert, and it was interesting that Hagar did find water. So in the spiritual sense, even if we were in the desert, could we still find water there?
Yes. Yes. We could.
So that in effect, the spiritual, obviously the spiritual realm, we want to be in the city where the well is more accessible, one could say.
Yes.
But there's there is a verse in Job where he says, where it reads, even at the smell of water, the tree can come alive. Even
Yes.
at the smell of it. I'm not sure what water smells like. I've often thought of that verse.
There
I
is
know that
there is the smell have water. They have water. We can exercise. We did those exercises. We're not as people, modern people, we don't exercise this enough. But once I did this exercise, like we do this exercise like fasten our nostrils and just focusing in the sense of smell, and the nose can like animals, we can find water according to the smell sense. Yes, we can do it.
So for me, there's always hope. You know, Hagar also speaks to me of hope.
Yes.
That was just what I was thinking as you mentioned those. You mentioned the reference to the well in the city. That was what I wanted to say.
Thank you so much. Fernando, Rodrigo, Felipe, what would you like to say?
I was just looking. What came to me is that Sarah saw the son of Hagar making sport.
Yes.
And it's interesting that to make sport is
Metzachek,
right?
כן, yes.
And it is almost the same root as Yitzhak.
Yes.
But it is only, the difference is the 1 to 4 is the Yod and the Mem.
Yes.
You know, like Yitzhak was with the 1, and the son of Hagar, Ishmael, was with the 4.
Yes.
Mitzachek.
Yes, it's true. And Yitzhak is the 1 to 4. That's correct. This is why Philon is saying that Isaac is the son of the divine spirit and not the son of Abraham. This is very, very interesting.
And Abraham had to leave the 4. Seems strange.
Yes. Please. It's a very deep topic because we never spoke about this in this way. It's the first time that we open this verse in this way. So please feel free to speak about whatever you wish or what comes to you at the moment.
I was thinking, I don't know if it was already spoken,
Yes.
but the relation with the names Hagar and Itzhak,
Yes.
for they both are 208, right?
Yes. Yes.
And what could we say about this?
This is what Rabbi Moshe Chaim Luzzatto, he noticed this, that both names have the same value. Hagar is 208, Hagar, and Yitzhak, Isaac, 208. So Luzzatto says something very interesting. He says this is from the external. They both have the same value, but Hagar expresses the external value and Isaac carries the internal value. He says even deeper, Hagar is the shell, we write with E, shell like orange shell. Is it like this? Shell? Hello? Hagar is the shell that comes before the fruit. One second. Do you hear me? Hello?
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yes, Kenny.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is what he says, that the shell is always preceding the fruit. This is how he explained the fact that they both have the same value.
Yeah.
And also this name it has, it makes me remember the Gar, the three heads, three rows.
Yes,
You know?
yes, the three heads, yes, Hagar, yes, the three heads, that's correct. Now,
See,
yes,
no, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
if we don't think, and this is what Philon does, if we don't think about those names as people who lived in history, historical figures. So, after 10 years, Sarai, the lady, tells Abraham, here is the Egyptian slave, because Sarai is the virtue and Abraham is not ready yet to deliver children or insights from Sarai. So the divine Logos, in this case Sarai, offers Abraham, the eternal learner, to deliver children from the Egyptian maid, but not the Egyptian maid in terms of biological woman, but the worldly wisdom. If you're not ready to deliver children or insight from the divine Logos, please focus, so to speak, your learning or your insights in the worldly wisdoms. Do we understand this kind of thinking? It's not about people, it's about qualities.
It's amazing. It is amazing and very deep. Maybe this is why we are going slowly, to approach to this. And I would like to listen more about this difference between the divine Logos and the current Logos, because our mind, it is related with the binary understanding, this frontal mind, I can remember that the Kant, the philosopher, that tried to get the pure rationality, uh, says that it has a limit, you know, because beyond, I think that he speaks about aporias. That is like a statement that we cannot go further with the logical mind. The logical mind has a limit, you know. And if you could say about this difference, because sometimes if we work only with the logical mind, we're gonna walk in the world looking for benefits, for profits. What is the best way to win, you know, to be wealthy, and I don't know. I tend to think that the logical mind will get us only to this search of comfort and pleasure, you know. The divine logos, it seems that brings the opposite.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. This is what
I-
why yes, Fernando?
Could say about this how it works in our lives, you know?
I believe that in the first, this is how we are educated to go to the world and make the best profit or benefits, but it has a limitation. This kind of perspective has a limitation, like the speech to Cain, 7 times fold. So we have this frontal mind, which is limited to 777. There is no more than this. 777, and we have 49, and I put a 0 here in brackets, and then there's a stop to this frontal thinking, comes the 1, and then we have the Jubilee. There's a new order, there's new minds, 3 minds are coming. I think that everybody feels this after 2.5 years of different lives under the corona. I think that everybody can experience this in his daily lives. There's a new mind coming to the world as systems, as private people. This is different system running at the moment. There's oxygen and water, but different kinds of thoughts and behavior are coming. So the frontal mind is limited. Can you repeat the word in Portuguese that you said, Fernando? About Kant?
Aporia.
Aporia. It reminds me Efer, the ashes of the red cow. There is a limit.
It is
Yes.
the same root, yes.
Yes, the same root, and then there's a limit. This is why we need a divine logos. And
It is Greek. The word is in Greek. Now
Yeah.
I found it here.
aporia.
The root is from Greek.
Yes, because aporia is non-fruitful. Aporia. Pri is a fruit. Aporia, non-fruitful. There's a stop. It cannot bear fruit anymore. So, and it becomes ashes, efer, and so. So there is a limit, but not to the divine logos. And here comes Sarai. Again, the Sarai is not a biological person in this case, in this discussion. This is the divine logos. And she said to Abraham, after 10 years in the land of Canaan, take the Egyptian maid, but not again as a biological woman, but try to make a progress, I would say, in your learning, in your studies, with the wisdom of the world. And in Philon's writings, he speaks about the wisdom of the world. We were speaking about those 7 maidens. We have rhetorics and so on. We were mentioning those 7 kinds of arts or studies. So make progress in those, so to speak, worldly arts. And then, because at the moment you are not ready to the divine logos. And Philon says this is his recommendation to those people who are sitting in Alexandria in those times. First, to educate a person, we have to give them the 7 maidens, or the artes liberat. They call this the free arts, the 7 free arts. This is the world wisdom. And then, after a while, they will be ready to receive the divine logos. But we cannot start with the divine logos. First, we have to give people, children, the public, the 7 free arts as a basic to build a human. Do we understand this kind of thinking?
Yes, it is interesting that the 7 liberal arts were divided into 4 and 3, right? It is
True.
3 and the 4.
3 and the 4. Yes, the 3 and the 4. That's correct. 3 and the 4. Now questions, please feel free to ask questions.
Eti,
Yes.
I know it's not a chronological history, but if I understood well, Abraham sent away Hagar and her son, which could mean that we should release our material part or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
receive, to how can I say, to deliver, to conceive Isaac. But in the book of Genesis 21, first Sarah conceived Isaac, and then Abraham sent away Hagar. I don't know if you understand me. I believe that in our experience, in a symbolical way, we should disattach from the experience. We should to get that hover vision, and before to conceive, before to receive from the higher, Isaac or something like that. I don't know if you understand what I tried to say. And basically, I asking to you about the moments. If there is an order, first we have to practice this attachment to this release this material part, to living apart from the world, and then we could deliver or conceive Isaac to receive from the higher, these parts. But I noticed that in Genesis chapter 1, first Sarah conceived, and then Abraham sent away Hagar. I don't know if you understand me.
Yes, I do. I think that I understand you. You speak about chapter 21, that the verse says that Sarai conceived Isaac. And then when the child is growing, they make a feast, and then she asked Abraham to release Hagar. But I speak in a way what happens before this chapter. Why even Abraham has to do something with Hagar? This is the question. Why this is maybe related to the podcast this morning. Why Sarai offers Abram after 10 years sitting in the land of Canaan to take the Egyptian slave. And the question is, in the process of learning, there are steps. Abraham, though he is sitting in the land of Canaan for 10 years, in a way, there are no fruits because he is not ready yet to deliver through the divine Logos. So the advice is, go with the world wisdom. I speak in a way one step before chapter 21 that we are reading now. Why does even his wife, his inner wisdom, advise him to take Hagar? The thing is, we cannot be stuck in life. If a person does not see progress, so he does something, and he or she offers, take the Egyptian slave. Not to get stuck. It's better, like we say in our time, to make mistakes and to fall and to rise than to be static and do nothing. So she offers him to see a progress. And Ishmael is a fruit of Abram. And we have to understand, this is quite deep. Abram, in this moment, when Ishmael is born, Abram has only 4 letters in his name. 4 letters, Avram. Avram, 4 letters. The value of Avram without the hay that was added to him is, do you remember the value of Avram? Only 243. 243. Those numbers 2, 4 and 3, we were speaking about them last conversation. When we need to pregnant a year, this is very important. There's a lunar year and there's a solar year. And in a cycle of 2, 3 or 4 years, we pregnant the lunar year. We add the lunar year another month before spring, another Adar or another March, to come even with the solar system, with the solar calendar. So please pay attention. This is not random. How, according to which system we impregnate the year, meaning add few days or months to the year and when, according to the system of 2, 3 and 4, or 2, 4, 3, doesn't matter in what order, and this is the name of Abram. Before another letter Hey added to his name. So Abraham, according to his name, is still connected to the lunar year. Lunar year, or the moon, regarding to the sun, is a lesser light. Abraham, in a way, has no connection yet to the divine Logos, to the sun. So he had to deliver children from the lesser light, from the moon, from Hagar. Do we understand this? Also, the moon cycle is a cycle of 7. Do we understand this kind of thinking?
I think so.
Yes, I believe that I understood that. And it's interesting to notice that Abraham is 2, 3, 4, and Moses is 3, 4, 5.
Excellent, 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 excellent.
But Etty,
Yes.
let me insist in one point. I don't know if I right, but in my perspective, my point of view, would make more sense if Abraham, how can I say, di- dismiss it or say goodbye to Agar and her son before Sarah conceived Isaac. I don't know. To me, uh, would be more. I don't know if in my mind, my way to look the things and to understand. Um, I don't know how to to express this, but to me, would be much would, uh, would be much more sense if Abraham said goodbye to Hagar and Ishmael before Sarai conceived Isaac. I don't know if you see in this way or not.
Because now, this is an interesting question, because now we have two children, so to speak, or two perspectives. One of them is Ishmael and another one is Yitzchak. Both names are referring to the future. And this is why also Abraham is praying of the name Ishmael. Lu Ishmael, if only Ishmael could live, he's afraid, he doesn't know that he will have Isaac, so he's praying for Ishmael. So you say it's logical that first Abraham released Hagar and Ishmael, and then Sarah will conceive. Yes, first release the Egyptian, and then there's a space,
and then yes, there is space and back to the unit
Mhm.
and conceive Isaac.
Mhm.
Could I just say something about
Sure,
that?
sure.
Yeah, if it's often when there's tension that the truth comes forward, or
Mhm.
there's a spiritual release in tension, and although it's harder to release when there's tension, that's the best time to release, is when there's tension between two things that you should do.
Mhm.
So I think the order is good. I think the order to conceive, or the conception,
Mhm.
and then the release, because it's extremely hard to release without conception.
Mhm.
It's hard to release something when there's a vacuum.
Yes.
If there's something pushing into the vacuum, then it's like, let there be light and the darkness flees. The darkness can't flee before the light comes.
Yes.
So I like this order. That's my own view. I like the order of the conception, and then the ability to release. And
Thank
if
you,
I
Ruth.
could, and if I could just say another little thing that I've noticed, which is just helps, I guess, for me, was I was just reading a little bit on in that chapter, and I noticed that even when Hagar saw the release goes, you've released into the desert, the God's voice can still be heard, but it's heard by the child's voice is heard by God. God answers the child, so there has to be that childlike attitude or spirit within us that's always there, because if we think rationally like adults, it's extremely hard. But the child faith is the good thing, is the child faith. So
That's
what I
great.
was thinking.
Thank you.
Thank you to share your point of view. It helped me a lot. Thank you very much.
This is interesting because now when there's Isaac and there's Ishmael, there is like a comparison or tension, as Ruth mentioned, between the two kinds of perspectives. Before, there's only one child. There's no problem, but now there are two perspectives or two insights, and now we can see the quality. There's like quality difference between those perspectives. And also the Bible describes as Hagar making mistakes or wonders in the wilderness of Beersheba, the seventh well. She cannot navigate. This is not only Hagar, so to speak, Egyptian slave who cannot navigate in the desert. It's about us as living in the realm of the seven who cannot navigate. It's like Cain, fugitive and vagabond. This is very interesting because this is not a historical story. It's about a system. In the system of the seven, she cannot find her way. Like Fernando was mentioning Kant, there is a limit to calculation. Yes?
May I say, propose it is I was thinking about this needing of two children. I just heard the last podcast, and you mentioned Weinreb's calculation about adding Hagar and Abram, and we have Ishmael.
Yes.
And so I was thinking about, I don't know if it's correct. I didn't make the calculation, but I was just thinking that if we add Ishmael and Isaac, which is the same value of Hagar as well, we will have the name Abram, right?
Yes.
I don't know if it is correct. Please, sorry, Eti, but I was just
You
thinking about
just replace, if I'm right, you just replace.
Isaac.
1 second, I'll move the board to right. You replace. Second, here it is. You say Hagar is 208. Abram with 4 letters is 243. Yes? Together
Yes.
they 4, 5, 1, like Ishmael. Yes?
Yes, right.
And then
And
you replace Hagar with the name Yitzchak, because it's also Isaac is 208. Yes? So you
Yes.
say Yitzchak, which is 208, plus.
oh, it's not right. It is, sorry. I was thinking about Isaac plus Ishmael, but the count doesn't fit, right?
Okay.
That's just. I was
We
just
have
thinking
to
that.
we have to prepare. I mean, it's a good exercise to always try, and this is what Weinreb, you always try to find the way between the names, and this is very interesting to do it. It is very interesting. This is interesting because the name Ishmael, yes, is 451, and the name Israel later that will be given to Jacob, Israel, is 541. This is the same digits but in a different order. Also, this is interesting that the son of Ishmaelim, or later on the Muslims, they carry on the flag always this moon. Yes, is in Turkey, for instance, they whenever we see a moon like this is interesting. This is what we say lesser light or lesser God. Yes? Here in the Mediterranean and in the Middle East are Muslims, and they carry the flag of the lesser moon, so to speak. This is part of their identity. So again, this is a lunar year, or the moon as a symbol, Ishmaeli. Also later we shall find the Ishmaelite caravan going from the Gilead mountain when they will sell Joseph. Yes, and from Gilead mountain there is a caravan of Ishmaelite going down to Egypt, and they will take Joseph with them to Egypt. In the story, Ishmaelim, they're going, there is a relation between Hagar, the Egyptian slave, she was the daughter of Pharaoh, her relation to the desert, and later her son Ishmael, and then the caravan of Ishmaelim going down to Egypt, bringing Joseph, the descendant of Abraham, to Egypt. Questions so far? Fernando, questions? Rodrigo, Ruth?
So many things that it is.
I see it is, I say, becomes quite deep and vast while we're reading Philon from Alexandria. It becomes very, very interesting, because it comes even with Weinreb and with Luria. There's a lot to say about it and a lot to take in, but slowly we can do it. I see also Shelton is here. Good morning, Shelton. So, do you have any questions so far, or thoughts that you'd like to share?
I was just thinking about this crescent moon, and we know that Jacob, that is also, it was the one who was given the name Israel.
Yes.
Related with the sun, you know,
Mm-hmm.
with Sephirat Tiferet in the sun. And if we take things literally, sometimes what happens is contents, you know. But if we take it symbolically, we could take a conversation, you know,
Mm-hmm.
have a conversation. So I was just looking how beautiful it is, the symbols. You know.
Thank you.
But it is a very sensitive topic. It is not easy to approach.
Yes. It is also a structure inside of us, because Abraham is the eternal learner inside of us. And until we have the divine logos, until we meet the divine logos inside of us, which is Isaac or Sarai, basically the laughter that comes, the son of Sarah, we cannot release the worldly wisdom that we have acquired. Only when we reach, so to speak, to this stage in our process of education, that we meet the divine logos, or Chokhmat HaEmet, the true wisdom, is that we come to a point inside of us that we can release ourselves from the worldly wisdom that brought us to this stage. We can also understand that those were only stages to reach this space inside of us that meets the divine logos. And then once we meet the divine logos, we can release our former education to time and space. This is the releasing of Hagar and Ishmael inside of us. We let them go. Sarai in us does not have a problem with this. This is what she advises to Abraham to do. But Abraham still has attachment. He doesn't want to release Hagar and Ishmael. This is not story about other people. It's a story of ourselves and the relations that we have inside of ourselves to the process of life here.
Amazing.
Thank you so much. I would like to thank you for coming here today and participating in a very deep and not easy conversation. So I would like to say thank you from the bottom of my heart and to wish you a very good and lovable weekend. And we can meet here on Monday at the same time.
It was amazing, Iti. Thank you so much for bringing so much light to us today. Thank you. Thank you, friends.
Thank you very much. Thank you, friends.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Shalom to everybody. See you on Monday. Shalom, shalom.
Bye.
Sha-
Bye.
Shalom. Bye bye.
Shalom, shalom.